I kind of want to walk through each of these each of the fruits in this aspect because um like to like define what they are. Like love, of course, we all know what that means, and then peace, long suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, right? And then it like kind of shifts. Like it goes gentleness, and then like the last one, like self control. Like that's a self. Like that's it's like almost like saying like display all these things, and then self control, almost like saying it's going to be tough to always display these exact ones, right? And so, do you have any like a story or testimony of how the Lord has worked with you and where you struggle with one of these specifically, like love, peace, gentleness, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think self control may be the highlight of of all of them for me. Where I think I may have struggled the most, and that's where you come in with temperance, right? And so again, fruit of the spirit: love, joy, peace, long suffering is another one I have to admit to. Gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, which is also long suffering. So I'll talk maybe about long suffering and self control. Long suffering is the willingness to suffer under any conditions, no matter how hard they get, with the endurance mindset that at the end result of it, you're going to reap a good harvest. You're going to reap a good end result. That's likened to someone that works out for their basketball career. Maybe they are practicing off season and they're working hard, and it's a lot on their bodies and on their minds, on their psyche, right? It may be a lot in conditioning and they may be completely exhausted, but they know that come that next season, man, I think I've worked harder than the next 10 to 12 top people in the country. Well, great. The long suffering means that, okay, great, but I expect a great end to all the suffering I conditioned myself with. Same with self control. I'm great in self control in many, many, many areas. The Lord has gotten rid of lust out of me and all of the things because I think the first step to having self control is surrender. I truly believe you surrender. You surrender to the Lord first. You confess your sins to Him and say, God, you know what? I'm completely done with this matter, whatever the sins may be. And you allow the Lord to reply to you, respond to you, so that you can receive more fruit, so that He can begin to bear fruit through you and you can be an extension of Him, right? I believe that when the Lord delivered me
Yeah.
of lust is a great one for a lot of men who think it's just okay to go out there and just sleep with every woman under the sun. And I'm not trying to be vulgar here. I'm just being honest. I lived that lifestyle once upon a time in my life. I'm not very proud of it at all. I hurt a lot of women. I hurt a lot of people, hurt myself more than anyone else. But that was because I didn't have temperance. I didn't have self control, right? Didn't even have a mind of it, wasn't even aware of it. But when you come to Christ, I guess I want to go back to the gospel, the basis of this. You don't get the fruit of the Spirit without God Himself, who is Spirit. And we worship Him in the
Yeah.
Spirit and truth. So, my two, again, long suffering, and let me get down to self control. Self control gets difficult when it's you versus you. The Bible tells you to flee from
Mm.
lust, not to flirt with it, not to date it, not to dress it up and just say, hey, it's okay. Just run, right? And many times for
Mm.
men, at least myself, I'll speak for me. I didn't run from lust. I just basically said like, well, it's okay to do it this time. I'll just dibble and dabble and run out of it. No, you're gonna fail every time.
Yeah.
And you may not see the results of and the consequences of your lust or your failure at the immediate moment. However, the long term consequences is, but what if you're separated from God for forever? What if you're in eternal
Mm.
darkness forever? It may not be the lake of fire. It may not be the pit you burning up, but your separation from God is hell. You want
Mm.
that? Your life in earth separated from God, not hearing God. Did you really want to be in that lifestyle, that vein? Nah, lust ain't worth it if
Man.
I can't hear from the God I serve. I need to hear from you. I don't have any direction, any recourse of any action if I don't hear from you. So self control. And let me also say this: what about our tongues? What about the way that we speak to
Man.
our spouses? What about the way that we speak to ourselves?
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. What about the way we show up and look in the mirror and speak to ourselves? How many times do we wake up and we're just doubtful and we the Lord has called us so many great things. He set us on high in Christ next to our Father, seated in heavenly places with great dominion, great authority. And then lo and behold, we look in the mirror and we are downcast. Like David was saying in the Psalms. Oh my soul, why are you downcast? Right? And we're
Man.
saddened and we're discouraged, and here we are chatting, and the self-control of this tongue is unbridled. And then here we are, we're
Yeah.
speaking everything against the image of God that he created in us, that we tear ourselves down, right? Because we don't have self-control in our tongues, our thoughts. And these unbridled thoughts and tongues, it's not just lust. I know it's the thing we run to the first time, lust or porn or sex or all the stuff, or the women and looking around. It's not even just your eye gate, it's your ear gate, it's your mind. So the self-control, the temperance, the fruit of the spirit, you can look at these as your tool belt to say, okay, these fruit that are born through us, that the Lord bears through us as trees, give us a reason for not only us to live and bear these fruit through experience, but for others to eat from the good of us living through and presenting these fruit to say, here's the thread of what I live in on a daily basis. Here's why I love. Here's why I have patience, long suffering, kindness, gentleness, meekness, long suffering, self control in these areas. Because here's the benefit of me having self control, and here's the testament. Maybe you spend 1 week just speaking positivity. Maybe you spend 1 week making sure that your social media is clean, that your feed doesn't feed you the nasty stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or images that may pollute your mind and your brain that causes you to err. Right? Maybe you spend a week looking in the mirror saying, I'm going to only speak what's positive and speak scripture over my life. Maybe that's a part of the self-control you need in order for God to say, yes, now I can finally move in your life because you're pairing with my word, you're in agreement with my word, and now my spirit can flow through you with these gifts, and now you can act in love. Now that when you interact with your wife, your spouse, your kids, your friends and family and whomever, co-workers, you can operate in love. And without it, we know the Bible tells you what? You're a clinging symbol, you're of no good. You can say all you can speak with the tongues of angels, great. But if you don't act in love, and you don't present it in love, and that doesn't mean you have to compromise and be like, you sinners just sin and do whatever else. I love you. No. You can correct some people in love and just share, like, hey, you don't have to live that lifestyle that you live. Here's a different way, and here's how I found out that this was true, whether they agree with it or not. Just share truth and love. Self control shows up that way. Even in the way that we eat, you and I discussed this before even having a call. The way that we eat, are we gluttonous? Do we have self control there, right? Do we work out? Do we worship God with the way that we treat our bodies as we work out, right? Is there self control there in our minds,
Yeah.
in our thinking, in our spending, in our money habits? In our investing, is there self control there? I think it just runs a wide gambit of how far we could really take it. But the fruit of the spirit, they go so deep and so far that I believe it creates in us a whole woman and a whole man to be able to be great, and for other people to eat from us, to see great fruit from us, and then be able to bear that fruit in them and duplicate that fruit later on too. That's a long-winded way of me talking about it, but yeah, definitely self control and long suffering for me. What about you?
Nice. Yeah, man. Same here, man. Self control, long suffering. I've always been able to like display love, always show love, always be peaceful, always be joyful. Like that's just naturally just I've always been that dude, man. Just laid back, chill. You know what I mean? Always been cool. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man. And so I've never been just the guy like the alpha whatever dude everybody talks about, man. You know what I mean? Anytime I would throw down and fight, it was because somebody else was throwing down and fighting. Like that was it. You know what I mean? So yeah. But yeah, as far as like long suffering, like that one, man, it's kind of I've always wondered like fully what it meant, right? Like, always like, man, what does that fully mean? And what does that look like walked out? And then you look at Jesus and the way that he would interact with the disciples, and it was and it was like, man, how is he not fully frustrated right now? Like, how is he not like
They
you know
would
what I
mention
mean?
it.
And they'll be like, yeah, like how long do I have to suffer? How long do I have to deal with you guys? But it was always interesting because he would shift their energy when he would correct. And like, yeah, I mean, he called Peter Satan at one point, get thee behind me, Satan, so like that alone lets you know, like there's times to do it, you know what I mean? And, but yeah, so that one always like stuck with me
Mm,
just because like I've always been patient, but there's always like a point where I hit where I'm the guy that would like snap. You know what I mean? Like once
mm,
I was mad. That was me. You know what I mean? And it wasn't good. So
mm,
I'm the extreme opposite of what I am naturally. So, but yeah, man. So that one I always wondered like how much suffering is long suffering? Like, how much do you have to put up with? And then I would have this idea in my head where it was like, well, I just got to be a doormat. So I would think that
Mhm.
way for a long time, up to like 2 years ago. You know what I mean? That's how I would think all the time. Then I would read verses like, "Blessed are the meek," right? And I'd be like, "Well, there you go, man. Just be a doormat. Like, just you know what I mean?" And which that kind of mentality actually allowed my life to be filled with like the baby mama drama we talked about earlier. And so my older two kids witness things that they shouldn't have witnessed. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like domestic violence, you know what I mean? They saw me get beat up by their mom. Like it was, stuff like that. Um, so they saw that and it was all because I misunderstood long suffering to mean something else. I misunderstood what meek meant. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
it took me, like I said, up to like 2, 3 years ago to realize, like, yo, this is, I got it backwards, man. I got to get this out of my mentality. And I had to like learn to set boundaries, learn to do things a different way in order to protect my family, to protect my children. But yeah, man, so that's what that led me to. And when I remember when I was going through all this stuff, I would get on YouTube and Google and be like, how to biblically handle baby mama drama. And I would find nothing. Like I would find nothing online, nothing like that, which actually gives me an idea to make something. Like, let me go online and make a video about how to handle baby mama drama as a Christian. so,
There's a solution.
so
There is a solution.
yeah, yeah. And so, but yeah. And then the self control thing, um, I've always been able to show self control in pretty much any area in my life except food. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's always been a comfort thing for me or what it was, but it's
All
always been
good.
food. That's always been like a struggle. You know what I mean? And so that one, like recently, I quit drinking. Like I drink Coke Zeros now. If I do drink a soda, but I try to stay away from like sugars and stuff like that. And then which gets hard, man. Where I work 12-hour shifts, and then I'm driving an hour and a half to back to where I'm staying at. So it's like a 3 hour turnaround for me. So it doesn't leave me time to cook, doesn't leave me time to do much. So I'm always like fast food it is, So,
Mhm.
uh, and then work out on top of that. So I try to
Oh,
work out 6 days a week, and you know what I mean. And so, yeah, man. So, but what I do find interesting with other people that I've noticed, specifically women, is, and not to just be like a guy trying to explain women or nothing, but is that it's almost like self control needs to bring all of the other fruits together, because like at times we do get emotional, we do get, we do feel some type of way about certain things, and then like self control goes out the window, and you're not displaying peace, you're not displaying gentleness. You're not displaying love. You're not displaying joy or patience or any of those. You're just like full blown going in on somebody, like the guy that we talked about earlier, going in on that woman who used to be an OF model. And he displayed none of those things. And you can tell from the conversation from when I saw it that it was because he lost the self control. At first, he was trying to be calm. And then I don't know if she said something, but it like triggered him a little bit. And he just lost
snap.
self control in his emotions, and he got emotional, and he just kind of went in. And so that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe these, all of these fruits, man, they get tied in with self control, because you have to have self control sometimes to be able to rein yourself back in and let the spirit, produce forth. And which is why I believe that like fasting, praying is a big deal. It kind of suppresses you in your flesh, and you're able to allow the spirit to move forward.